Hello everyone, it's Carolynn Sander from carebearstamps.com. I'm here today with the TGIF Challenges design team, and we're having a card in the box challenge this week over at TGIFchallenges.com. If you have yet to hear about the TGIF Challenges design team, well, we are a group of, Stampin' Up! Demonstrators who love to paper craft. We have weekly themes that are posted to our blog every Friday, which is where the TGIF slogan, thank goodness it's Friday slogan, comes from. Those weekly themes are then open up to the rest of you to participate with us. The idea is to inspire each other and have fun with our paper crafting. You can post your projects following the theme for the week to your own blog or social media site and then share them with us over on our team page. We love to have you join in with us. It's lots of fun and we will look forward to having you. Because the theme for this week is a little bit more intricate, we thought it best to create a little tutorial for you this week on how to create a card in the box. I do want you to know that by no means was I the original inventor of the card in the box. There are tons of ideas out there. If you search card in a box, you'll find lots of images, lots of tutorials, lots of information. I do not know who the original creator of the card in a box was, but it is fun, and we over at TGIF really hope that you enjoy creating a card in the box with us this week. The reason why these card in a box cards are so fun is they are totally three-dimensional, but you can fold them down in one quick little snap, and you can actually make it so that they will fit in a standard mailing envelope. So cool. If you're wondering where you would sign such a card, well, there's a space on the back here where I've left a piece of white cardstock, and that's where you can sign your message to your dear friend that you send it to. When you start with today's card, you're going to take the Stampin' Up! Paper trimmer and you're going to cut a piece of real red cardstock to the dimensions of 9 by 5.5 inches. You will then also require two smaller strips of cardstock that measure 3 inches by 1 inch. For the next step, we are going to use our Simply Scored tool. We are going to take our sheet of real red cardstock, and against the long piece of the cardstock, we are going to score it in 4 places. That's right, 1, 2, 3, 4 places. The first mark we are going to score at is 2 1/8 of an inch. The next score mark is going to be 4 1/4 inches. The next mark after that is going to be 6 3/8 of an inch. And lastly, we are going to score at 8.5 inches. We are then going to turn our piece of cardstock so that the short end is along the top of the score plate, and we are going to score right down the middle at 2 3/4 inches. For this next step, you can use your paper trimmer, but I chose to use a pair of longer hand scissors that I have, and you're going to go along the top edge or one side of your sheet of cardstock, and you're going to cut along the score lines, just up until that middle score line. By doing this, you're creating the flaps that are going to fold down on your card in a box. You are then going to cut the smaller flap on the end here off, because that part is not needed. As well, you're going to trim a corner of this flap off. That flap is going to fold in, and that's going to be what holds part of your box together. You are then going to take the 2 smaller strips of cardstock that you have here. These are going to be what go on the inside of your box, and they are going to be what you adhere all the little pop-outs to. And we're going to actually take these 2 strips and we're going to have to score them in a couple places. So along the long edge, you're going to score them at 1/2 inch and 2.5 inches. You're basically scoring them in 1/2 inch from either side. You're then going to fold these 2 strips of cardstock along the score lines that you have created. We will now begin to assemble our box by folding the flaps downwards along the score lines and folding the box inwards along the score lines. This creates the structure of our box. Although we have a score line along this back flap, it's important to keep in mind that this flap is not going to be one that folds down. We're going to actually apply another piece of cardstock along the front and back of that so that it provides a little bit more sturdiness to that back part of our box. I'm only showing you today myself adhering this piece of cardstock to one side of the box. That's the front inside part of the box. But like I said, you will need 2 extra pieces of cardstock, one to go on this front portion and one on the reverse side of this part of the box. And that is just to provide the extra sturdiness that this box requires. I am choosing today to use my Stampin' Up! Tear and Tape adhesive for adhering this part of my box. And that's just because it is one of the strongest adhesives out there. You'll notice here that I'm also using my multi-purpose liquid glue, and that's just to reinforce and add a little bit more security to my project. We now need to adhere some tear and tape adhesive to that one inner flap that's going to hold this whole structure together virtually. So again, I chose tear and tape adhesive for that, and I'm making sure this flap is as covered as it can be because I want it to stick really good. Next step is to adhere the smaller strips of cardstock to the inside of the box. I do so by applying a little bit of multi-purpose liquid glue to the flaps of these strips of cardstock. And the reason we choose this adhesive is it is repositionable, so once you get it in the box, shortly thereafter you can move it around, adjust it before it starts to dry, and that way you can ensure proper placement of the strips of cardstock. I choose to adhere my strips of cardstock just slightly below the edge of the top of the box. And as you can see here, I like to point the flaps towards the front of the box, saying that I'm sure you can adhere these in different ways. Just find out what works best for you and go with it. I've sped the video up to date for ease of watching, but as you can see here, before my adhesive is completely dried, I also like to open and close and fold my box both ways to ensure that these inner flaps are actually scored and adhered at the right place in the box so that it's functional, if that makes sense. The rest of the process is pretty fun. It is basically all up to you now. It comes to your own creative process and how you would like to decorate your card in a box. Some of the products I used on my card in a box today were the Stampin' Up! Birthday Memories Designer Series paper, the Birthday Delivery Bundle from Stampin' Up!, the Rhinestone Basic Jewels, the Holly Berry Builder Punch, and the Holly Berry Happiness Stamp Set. Things to keep in mind when you're decorating your box is that you don't want your pop-outs to stick out too far if you want to be able to make sure you can fit them in a standard sized envelope. So keep an envelope nearby and just keep folding your box up like so. Line it up and make sure that your card will fit in your envelope. As well, some other fun ideas are you can use window sheets to have some of your in-there pop-ups pop up invisibly, which is kind of cool. I did not do that on this card today, but I know some of the girls on the TGIF site have done that this week with their cards. So make sure to check out our blog, like I said, at www.tgifchallenges.com, and feel free to visit me at my blog as well at www.carebearstamps.com. Thank you so much for visiting today. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial, and I can't wait to see what your card in a box turns out like. Bye-bye for now.